Welcome back to the Create Your Shape podcast. Today, I have a very special guest on, Katrina, who is a Create Your Shape superstar. And I'll let Katrina introduce herself, but she is just like a ball of light and a ball of energy, and just the perfect example of someone who is already fit and just was determined and was just running into obstacles that, of course, she solved and had huge success and just got even more fit and just not only like looks the part, but mentally and confidently being able to like make decisions and live her life, I feel like was also a huge win in this. But we'll get
Mhm.
into all of that. So first, can you just introduce yourself? And I've got to share too. I went to college with Katrina, so that is
Yes.
also an amazing connection. So she is the same person she was then, just super positive, happy, and just like literally an energetic person to be around that totally impacted the rest of the Create Your Shape ladies, just with every call. So that was also super fun to see.
Oh,
So
good.
introduce yourself, Katrina.
Yay. Hi, everyone. I'm Katrina. It's so fun to be on this side of the podcast because I've definitely listened so many times on the other side as a listener. So, my name's Katrina, and I am 36 and living currently in Louisville, Kentucky, in the state. And I, yeah, went to college with Jenny, which is super fun. I've got three kiddos. They're 5, 7, and 3 years old. And I'm a realtor. So love doing that and investment properties as well. So kind of get to be my own boss and do those types of things, as well as being home with the kids a lot of the time and running people to and fro. So my biggest challenge was getting back into fitness and kind of into the body I imagined myself always having after having kids. And one theme that I think has come up for me a lot, especially recently as I'm discussing with people my journey, is that I feel like prior to kids, I did a couple bodybuilding competitions. I'm in the circus and I do those things. So I've been fit really. I was a swimmer and a diver. So fitness was something that has always been a part of my life. But I feel like, yes, I've had to put in work, but I've never had to feel like I was like clawing my way back and like
Yeah.
really like like it's not coming as it doesn't come as easily as it had in the past. And it felt like, oh man, I've got like before it was just like, oh, let's just tighten a little. This time I was like, I gained 50 plus pounds with my each pregnancy, so it's like, I mean, I'm a relatively, short stature. I'm 5'2". Currently I weigh, not to be specific, 126.7 pounds. But when I started, even a year or so before I even started Create Your Shape with you, I was, you know, probably about like 145 or so. And, then I got down to like the 138 range, but I was just sitting there going from 138 to 140. And I was in a deficit already of, 1,500 calories, tracking what I ate for about a year. But then I was seeing these other women on Instagram, which I know isn't the end all be all, but they're like that whole what I eat in a day, but they were eating
Mm-hmm.
way more. They were eating way more than me. And I'm like, what is going on? Why are these other people eating so much more than me, but with similar or less muscle mass than I have? And obviously now less body fat too, because like you can see their definition so much more. But like like I was just like, there's something's not adding up. So that's what led me to your program of I need to eat more and figure out how to eat more, and then how to cut, and then how to get back to eating more, which has really opened up so many doors and like makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah. So, okay, just to kind of recap that, because all that is so good. You were already fit, right? You had that history and like
Mhm.
relationship with fitness, and it kind of sounds like you were like had awareness around nutrition. You're like you like knew what levers to pull. It's like, okay, I just want to tighten up a little bit. And then going through multiple pregnancies and kids and kind of having priorities shift and then kind of being like, okay, I'm gonna get back to myself, but then it being like, wait a minute, before I just could do some little things and stuff would change, but
Mhm.
now I'm in a totally different position. And it sounds like maybe you were like you had the like drive to do it, but you just didn't have the strategy or like the knowledge to really map out a strategy to implement. Is that kind of where you were?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it took me, and I did 2 rounds. I did 2 rounds of Create Your Shape with you, right? Because
Hmm.
I think the first round, and like you say, you've got the different levels of, I guess, acceptance. Right? Like I
Yeah,
know
what
what
do
it's
I
going to
call it?
take.
The levels of like mastery, right? And
Yes,
there's like different
exactly.
levels of mastery. Yeah.
I know what it's going to take. I accept, whatever it is, but I
Yeah.
feel like I knew, like, okay, I know what it's going to take. I know what I need to do, but I didn't really believe it. Right. I think that's one of them is believing it because I was like, it's okay if I'm on Monday through Friday. Over the weekend, I can have a few treats and it's fine. But what I was doing was spinning my wheels because
Yeah.
I wasn't going into a deficit for, you know, 8 to 12, 6 to 12 weeks or whatever. I was living in a deficit. And then,
Yeah.
but only Monday through Friday. And it
Okay,
was just
so
like, this is not making my progress, right?
yeah. Okay. So before you joined even the first round of Create Your Shape, was that your approach? You were like, okay, I'm gonna like do a deficit, but were like, you were tracking macros and stuff,
Yeah,
and
so
then
I was tracking macros and I did was working with a fabulous coach,
yeah.
specifically more so on working out.
Hmm.
And, we did talk about macros and tracking food and staying on task and everything. And that really helped me kind of get into, a good space. And I did another program too before, which is an online program that was kind of like a challenge that everyone joins. And they all worked really well for me. But I guess I was like, what's the long-term piece? Where is the change? And I know I've said this to you earlier today, like, where's the change of like how I live my life, like truly, and like who I am, not just, okay, this is what I'm doing to lose weight right now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
So
where is that? Like, how can I make this a part of who I am as opposed to like, well, right now I'm doing this. It's like,
yeah.
yeah. And there is still that piece of like, right now I'm not in a deficit. Right now I am, but it's more so this like the long-term strategy where you can plan out the whole year or the next year based on, like it's growing season, like, oh, I don't know, whatever, all the fun things and embodying all of that without feeling like, okay, I was just at a 1500 calories to lose body fat and it worked. But then I stagnated and felt frustrated and was like, I need to be eating more, but I don't know how to eat more without gaining weight, essentially. And that's kind of where your program came in for me is I realized like my workouts are on point. I have unlocked that, right? I unlocked, but I was like, so I've got to be able to unlock the same thing for nutrition. And I know I've got the capacity because I did it with
Hmm.
my workouts, but I've just got to figure out how to do it.
So what did you think, or when you joined Create Your Shape, what did you think like I was gonna have you do? Or were you like, I don't know, but I know this is what I need? Did you think there
Yeah.
was like, or were you like, she's gonna have me eat more, but I'm scared that I might gain body fat? Or like was there any like thing you were like afraid of or like hesitant about?
Yeah. Definitely like, I know that I think when you join something like a program like yours, you're ready to see the result now.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, I want the immediate result now. I want to be within this weekend, and it's not going to happen that fast. Right. And
Yeah.
with your program, the first thing you do is track where you are now and then build up. Right. And
Yeah.
then you kind of get to, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the 2000 calorie club. I don't know the last time I was here and tracking. Right. I've only tracked when I was like low. So I don't know that I've ever really tracked eating that much. So that was different. And then I was like, it was hard for me to go from 1500 to the higher amount thinking I'm going backwards, but it was like, this is
Yeah.
the process. This is part of the process. This is the reset. This is where I get my body to. So then I have somewhere to drop down to for a deficit and then build back up from there. But honestly, even with eating more, I saw more definition in my muscles because they were like, oh, finally, the bitch has feed me.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally. I hear that all the time, and that's like the number one thing people say is like they're hesitant at eating more, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm never going back. This is glorious." And I experienced the same thing too. So going through like when you first kind of got taking some specifics for especially for people listening, think you were around 1600, right? I have you track at first, right, to see where you're
Mhm.
at now, and you're around 1600. Kind of like you said, you were like, oh, I would be around 15, but 1600, and be like, okay, I want to lose weight, right? And then maybe be tracking during the week and then not on the weekends, and then kind of plateaued. And then we got started. You went from 1600 up to 2,100 calories. That's the
Hmm.
2K club, right? That 2,000. And kind of to all with macros, right? I know everyone listening is like, but what are the macros? And like, just to give you an idea, she went up and was eating like 215 to 225 grams of carbs, right? Like we're fueling her because you heard her mention she loves to work out. She also is in the circus, right? She's very active, high energy. She's got kids that she's running around everywhere. Like she needs that fuel. So then from there, let's talk about the first round. So you're seeing the benefits. It was fun because I went through your check-ins and your first couple of weeks you were like, I'm seeing more muscle definition. Oh, it was like I'm seeing more muscle definition in just 1 week. And then you shared, I'm also pooping every day, which is not the norm for me. And I feel
Yeah.
like this is some people might be like TMI, but no, this is like it's all intertwined with their health. So if you're working with me, we're going to talk about periods, we're going to talk about poop because it is so
Hmm.
intertwined. And going to the bathroom is a signal and a connection of your health. But if you're constantly in a deficit, right, and you're not eating enough, you're going to go to the bathroom less. So you're finally giving yourself more nutrients. Whoop, just knocked my mic over. Finally giving yourself more nutrients to then excrete the like leftover food, but it's not just that. You're also excreting hormones that your body don't need. Like it's part of a detox process that your body needs that then
Hmm.
helps manage and stabilize hormones. So this was like while you were eating enough. Is there
Right.
anything else that you remember from like initially eating more?
Yeah. Well, I think all of those things like absolutely track, and I think just being like, oh, I get to eat more and more, it's just like there's still more left over to do. It's just it was exciting to feel like I had more to play with, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think the building the plate, is, and I in college I worked for like did nutrition for students, not like a plan, but we would talk about building our plate there as well. So I
Yeah.
was kind of like, oh yeah, I've heard that. Like in my head, I'm like, yeah, I know that. But the way that you approached it was definitely different than what I'd heard before in terms of, oh, like the way you have a student is like you build your plate and then look at the amounts, right? To meet your macros. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I see how that works. You build it, and that's like the items, and then you can add the amounts to meet the macros. And like something that I unlocked, I guess we're not talking second round yet, but that helped me a lot is like when you're in a deficit, I'm eating the same things that I could eat. You can eat the same things you eat when you're not in a deficit, just less,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So good. So let's kind of talk about that because all right, we got you up to eating enough, and then we go into the deficit.
Hmm.
And the first round deficit, right, is different than your second round deficit,
It is.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is what I remember, and you can tell me what you remember from it. We would have like 2 weeks, great, seeing progress, looking good, and then not a week completely off, but a week where we would like willy-nilly and like I say this because we've talked about this a bunch and this is so normal and so common. So if you're like, yeah, this is me, this is the whole point of us talking about it because this is so many people. This was me too. And my thing used to be like, oh, let me see what I can get away with. And then I
Mm.
wouldn't make progress that week, or I'd even like go back and like regress a little. And then it was like kind of like a couple weeks and then a week, couple weeks, and I would be like, oh, why I'm so stagnant? What's going on? What was it like for you, if you remember?
Yeah. So the first one, like, I feel like out the gate, I was like ready to rock. Like, let's go, let's get this done. It's going to be great. But then I did start to kind of fall off and find ways to like cheat, so to speak. But instead of like, what can I get away with? I would find what I could get away with. And then I would track it after and then be like, oh, I already shot the day. I didn't
Hmm.
track it before I ate it, and then, the day's gone. And then I was stuck in that all or nothing mentality, which is just like, oh well, I'll just try again tomorrow, right? I'm not going to track that, or I just get frustrated. I would have also like the afternoon time that would be really stressful with the kids getting home from school and whining and this and that, and I found I would just be like grabbing some like a snack to like just like de-stress, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, how do I kick that? How do I stop that habit, right? um so yeah, I would have a couple good weeks and then yeah, a few days off, and it was kind of like that same pattern where I was just like, and I would see the other women kind of especially in the second round, saying the same thing. Like, how do, like, I'm still in, like, I know I could do it, but it's just like I can't get my brain there. Like, I'm still having these off days. And it's like,
Yeah.
it was like, I was like, you would tell me, like, you can get there, you can, you can understand, and like, you will get there. I'm like, I don't think I will. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
I will. I'm not going to ever be able to control it.
Yeah. And I remember us coaching. And so it's so funny because, yes, we talk a lot about like science and strategy because that really was like 80% of the missing component. But
Hmm.
then this 20%, which especially for like ladies like us, like type A, go-getter, busy, like hardworking, all of that, we feel like I know I'm capable of it. Like, why can't I get this? Right. But
Hmm.
it's these little moments like the coming home and being like overwhelmed and stressed and like chaoticness in the house. I remember us coaching on that and us being like, oh, how are we going to create space for Katrina, right? Outside of that. And I can't remember exactly, but I want to say it was like we had moments like in your car where you like we like gave you your own space to like sit in your car. Was that you?
I
Or
don't
it was
remember.
another one I was like Starbucks, right? Where you were like loved going to Starbucks, like that was part of
Oh,
your treat. And we are like,
I
why
was
don't
a
we like
daily Starbucks, like a day, every day, like 5 days a week, getting my mocha cookie crumble frappuccino. And I was just like, but it was like I was on autopilot. It was like, I just go to Starbucks and this is my treat. And then I feel better, not feel better. I feel worse probably. But it was like
yeah,
I was on that like every day. I was like, I can't, like, not only is it expensive, it also is not, it's not good for you. Now I don't remember the last time I ordered that. And what I
no,
started to do was like going to Starbucks and getting stuff. It was like training my brain that it's not like I'm never going to have it again. If I don't have it today, it doesn't mean I couldn't get it tomorrow. Like, you don't have to have it right this second. It's going to be okay. It's like I was eating stuff like it was the last chance I'd ever have in my life to ever have it.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
realizing, like, hey, I'd go to, my kids love egg bites. I'm like, let's go to Starbucks and get egg bites. And I would go through the drive through and be like, I've already made my mind up. I'm not getting it. Like, otherwise I would talk myself into getting, oh, well, that's okay. I've had a hard day today. It's just today. Tomorrow I will go and eat. And it's like that cycle, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow.
yep,
And I finally was just like, no, we're going to not. And once you took it off the table completely, the brain energy of fighting with yourself about it goes. And I was like, and once I started going and conditioning my brain that doesn't, when we go to Starbucks, we don't get this treat every time. And I don't remember the last time I bought myself a drink. Do not recall it.
so good. So good because kind of like there's different ways we like coach on around the program because it was like every other week. This isn't like this is normal, right? This is part of why you join a program like this because these little things where we're like, oh, I should just do better. It's like, no, no, no. There's a reason this is happening. Let's dig into it. Let's
Mhm.
lean into it. And you showed up every week and leaned into that. You're like, hey, here's what's
Right.
happening and like talking through it, right? Because so many of us want to just be like, I should already know how to do this. This is silly, right? I should just be okay
Yeah.
with this.
I'm
It's
embarrassed.
no.
Like, why am I having this issue? I should be able to not do that. Like, I should be able to go through a Starbucks and control myself.
Yeah, but this is I like how too you mentioned you're like, oh, I heard other people like in the room like say these things too. And like hopefully it's validating to be like, yeah, these are real issues. These aren't like just me
Well,
or
it
just
does feel like that. It feels like all these other women, like around the world, are just successfully, avoiding all of their, desires to eat things that they really don't want to be eating, or
hmm.
aren't serving them. And then you hear all of them like, oh, I struggle with the same thing. Okay, cool. I'm not alone. We could do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that's part of the like process of like working through those, whether it's like there's so many different avenues that we like go through of like having different alternatives. Like what's the root cause of like, oh wait, Katrina
Hmm.
needs like pleasure and enjoyment or the association. So I remember one thing about I've used this as an example a couple times because it's so good about your association with Christmas cookies. And
I was like, oh,
I
it's got to be the Christmas
remember
cookie.
I don't even think it was around Christmas. And
It was, I don't know. We make them for other events, like
yeah, because you're a
like other
baker too,
holidays too.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you did the way you described Christmas cookies to me, it was like living in Candyland. She sold me so hard on these Christmas cookies that I wanted to like jump through the screen and eat all of her Christmas cookies too. And I'm like, no wonder if this is your like story around Christmas cookies, no wonder you want them so bad.
They're so emotional too, right? Like
Yeah.
they're tied to all the happy Christmas joy and like, you're like, you only have these once a year, but like that's not true. We also make them for birthdays and
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yes. So this is good because then from there, right? And seeing like, oh wow, you like really have this story and narrative and emotional connection around these Christmas cookies, realizing that you created that. You can create any other story in relationship to
Yeah.
any Starbucks or anything that you want.
Or any
So,
holiday or
yeah.
celebration for that matter.
Yeah, because I remember then, okay, kind of jumping to your second round. So we fed her up again, and you did make some progress that first round. We definitely don't want to
I did.
downplay
Oh yeah.
that. And let's also not downplay like this is the work, right? This is like the like people think like, okay, I should do it once. Jenny told me one thing, I should do it once and be perfect. But this is the work that really
Right.
sets you up for the long term. So then increase you up. And I remember this from your check-in too. You're like, workouts are feeling strong. I just leg pressed more than I ever thought was possible for me.
Yep.
450 pounds on the machine. And I'm
Right.
like,
And that
oh,
doesn't include the machine. The machine weight is like 130 pounds.
oh my gosh, that's a heavy
So
machine.
that
Yeah.
doesn't, it was in the 500s. And I had one of the trainers next to me. I was like, I'm going to do this. And he was like, yeah, if you just did 12 of that, you could definitely do 8 of whatever. So he helped me load. And I was like, stand here if I drop this on myself. And I didn't, and I did it. Now I did tear my hamstring doing circus. So I haven't been doing it that heavy since yet. But because
Yeah.
I've been working a lot on like unilateral, doing one leg at a time
Yeah.
to make sure I'm really using my strength. But just being like, what? Like the strength buildup of pushing myself to lift heavier than I thought I could. Because in my head, I'm just like, oh no, that's too much. That's too much weight. I couldn't do that. And I was like, but maybe I could. Let's push it. Let's see. And then
Yeah.
I did, and I was like, what?
So I have to ask because you're a mom of three of young kids, right?
Hmm.
You train consistently, you have this circus, right? I almost like there's so many questions I have here, but it's obviously important to you, and I have so many personal beliefs of how important it is for your kids, but I'm curious for you, how do you one do it all with kids like this? And then how do you like value it? Because it seems like you do value it for yourself, for your family, for your kids. Like kind of explain that to me because I feel like so many people are in similar situations where they have young kids and maybe they feel like this like tie or like overwhelmed to do both. How do you do it and why do you do it?
Yeah. Well, that's such a good question. I know everyone's like, well, I want to be the best version of myself for my kids. And that's true because it does help me just from a stress standpoint. But I feel like my biggest flex is when people see me and say, like, damn, that girl's fit. And shit, she has 3 kids. Like, my biggest
Yeah.
flex is not this. It's when you see my 3 kids walking behind me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. So it's like, it is possible to have children and do it. Does it take, it takes work. And also, I think what I've had to come to terms with is it doesn't take just a month of working out. Like, I have been consistent with my workouts for probably about 2 years now. It's how long I probably have unlocked working out every day. And it wasn't easy. I started with doing morning workouts and being like, okay, I've got to wake up early before everyone else in my basement and do these. Right. Then once
Hmm.
I got that under lock and I was like, this is working great. Then I joined a gym and I was like, oh my gosh, now I have this community of people that I see every day and that I can connect with on a daily basis that I really enjoy. And they have like a kids care for 2 hours a day. And so I can drop my kids off there. Um, so for me, and it was about like, it was like every morning people be like, oh, can I have an appointment with you at 9? I'm like, no, I've got an appointment at 9. And that appointment is me at the
Oh,
gym.
yeah.
It's a non-negotiable. It's never, will I work out today? That is never my question. It's Monday, there's a workout to be had. It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, maybe those might be one of my rest days but I'm still going there and I'm doing my stretching and my like incline walk. Sunday is completely off for me. So Sunday I don't stress out about it. It's just it is it is part of my day and there's no question about it ever unless I'm
Right.
sick or something, or sometimes the kids
Yeah.
are sick and I don't, like, once in a while I'll miss a day here and there, but it is like the consistency. And I had someone ask me the other day at the pool, and they were like, I really want to build my strength. I don't really care about losing weight as much. I just want to build strength. I was like, well, lift weights. Like if you're not, like, I mean, even though weightlifting is perfect, is great for fat loss as well, obviously. For
Yeah.
strength, I'm like, you don't really need, you could just eat a lot and start lifting weights and be stronger, right? You don't need to worry as much about the fat loss too. But they were like, so when you go to a workout, do you have a specific plan or do you just kind of do what looks good? And I almost laughed that they, like, I almost laughed out loud, like that they thought that you could do that, like just show up and do like random machines and like get and have benefit, like, and have results from it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, but I was like, but it's a serious question, and it's so intimidating for people to get started. But once you have your program and once you have your plan and you show up and you keep showing up, it gets better, and then you know what you're doing, and then you'll start to see your results. But it doesn't take a week or 2 weeks or months. It takes years. And
Yeah.
but you've got to start doing it if you want to see those results. And it's a very specific, I said to her, I go, oh no, it is a very specific plan. And I always have a
Yeah.
plan. And I
Yeah.
know my plan, and I stick with my same workout program for at least 8 weeks. And I'm doing the same exact exercises every single week. And I'm
Yeah.
tracking my weights every single time in my app. I use the Rep Count app, and I track
Yeah.
my weights so I know exactly what I did last time. And so I know
Yeah.
it's very specific.
Yeah.
So I
I
forgot.
remember
Oh,
us
how do you?
going
Yeah.
over. I
So the
remember
question
us.
was, how do you do it all? Sorry, I got off
Yeah.
on a tangent there, but
I
I
know,
think
but
for
I
me,
love the passion.
yeah, for me, how I do it all is I think I started it one step at a time, right? I didn't dive all in being like, I'm changing my nutrition and I'm working out starting now. I did sort of do that, but I got the workout piece down, and I was like, that's just part of my day. That is part of what I do every day. And it's a non-negotiable. And then I said, I need to figure out how to do that with nutrition, because I know I can do it. I've done it with my workouts. And so that's why I was like, all right, Jenny, I gotta do this. And my second round going into it, honestly, I was like, I don't know, like if I didn't get it the first time, is there hope for me? And I was like, what's going to change in the second round that I couldn't click with on the first round? Because I understand, like, I've got the knowledge, I got all the stuff, you know what I mean? I understand everything you told me. It's not like oh, I forgot about that part. But I
Mhm.
was like, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to give myself one more round with this. And it did. It clicked into place in the second round.
So this is so good because kind of like you said with your training, right? Of,
Mhm.
okay, it's just non-negotiable, it's who I am. Then that's exactly what you applied in the second
Yeah.
deficit. And then you did 11-week deficit and dropped 11 pounds, which
Yeah.
keep in mind, when you're already fit, 11 pounds is a lot. And
Mhm.
she looks shredded, right? If you're seeing this video, you can see her arms, you can see her definition. Hey, she looks fantastic. And so I want to know, and I remember like every check-in, right? This is like another one, right? It's like you said, my dedication is working well for me. Like having a plan and not allowing any shifts has cleared up so much mental space. You
Mhm.
said it's
Mhm.
just a decision. So how did you get to that point? And I remember another coaching call where I'm like, okay, Katrina, like what was the shift? And you said, at first I didn't want to believe what you were telling me. And like I heard it logically, I understood it, but I didn't want to believe what you're telling me. And now I believe it.
Right.
Um, in terms of like how the accuracy in math works at this
How it
level.
matters, right? How
Yeah.
it matters. Because I was thinking, I've been on all week. It's okay if I'm over a little bit today. Like, surely that won't really matter because I've been on all week. And I said to myself, Katrina, what would happen? What would happen if you did 11 weeks, 11, 12 weeks, whatever it was, and stuck with it 100%? Give yourself that time to do it 100%, because guess what? The time's going to pass. It's going to be 11 weeks from now before you know it, regardless. And when you look back, are you going to be like, wow, I did it? Or are you going to be like, oh shit, I could have done better? And I've already put in so much time and effort. I was like, I just got into this mental space of like, I'm finally ready to commit 100%. And I had a lot of stuff going on during that second deficit. I mean, there was Valentine, I don't know if it was Valentine's Day, but there was Easter. There were Derby, which is huge in Kentucky, where there's like free buffet food, right? All the cookies and
Mhm.
all the things. And there is we had a gala with free food, a wedding with, we had all the stuff. And I was just like, it wasn't like oh, when I go, I'll make my decision. It was just like a no. not going to have it. And I did like, I think there was one, like on one Derby day, I did have some of the like the food because I was like, oh, wow, they've actually got chicken breast, and I took a bite of one of the desserts because I was curious, but it wasn't like it was almost like letting myself have a bite here and there and knowing I could stop. Because
Yeah.
before it was like oh, more, 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 and like this mindless consumption of like, eat it really quick before you realize you're doing it. I don't know if that makes sense. But
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, it was just, I made that decision, like, it's just not happening. So then my mental space was so clear. It was like I didn't have to argue with myself. Oh, I'm going to let myself have that. Maybe, maybe not. Yes, no, maybe. Oh, it probably won't be a big deal. No, I don't think I want to have that, but maybe I could. I mean, I could if I want to. I'll decide when I get there how I feel. No, it was just like a no. And it was so great and eye-opening. And I was just like, wow, this is like who I am now. And I know we've talked about that before too. It's like if I now that I'm working my way out of the deficit, and yeah, of course, like my dad's birthday, we had this really cool lemon blueberry cake, and I wanted to try that, and I did, like, had a couple pieces of it, and I was like, okay, like that was delicious, but like now I'm done because like, and I do remind myself like this isn't who I am anymore. I'm not a slave to the cake anymore. I don't think about the cake all day. Or like you gave that example where you were at a party and thinking about like the chocolate. Like people are telling stories and hanging out. You're just like thinking in your head, like, oh my gosh, can I have another piece of that chocolate or whatever? And that's how I
Hmm.
felt. And I talked to my dad about it. I was like, when I used to come over to my parents' house, I would be like, oh, what snacks are they going to have? If I would go to an
Hmm.
event, like, oh, what kind of food are they going to have there? Like this baby shower, I can't wait to have their cupcakes. But now I'd be like, oh, who's going to be there? Who am I going to get to chat with? Because the food was off the table. That didn't matter because I wasn't going to have any of it.
This is like
And
the
I don't,
natural Ozempic. So,
right. And it's so funny because I feel like I feel like there's that fine line of like people being like, well, you sound like you have a problem now that you track it all. But no, I was on a very specific deficit. And I do feel like there's some more judgment because I'm a mom and because I have more muscle mass. And, I feel like if you look at me now, you can think, oh, wow, she works out. Where before you could say she's fit. But now, like, I saw two people in the last week that I haven't seen in years, probably. And they were both like, don't you have kids now? I was like, I have three. And they were like, how do you stay? They're mentioning it. And I've had people say, you look so lean. What have you done? What have you been
mhm,
doing? And I've had so many people ask me that. And I'm like, well, I just finished like an 11-week cut and lost 11 pounds and, been working
yeah.
out and consistent. And this is what I've been doing. And if you want to talk about it, I would love to.
I love it. Yeah, because also like I like how you mentioned too, you're like it's so funny how people think like there's judgment when you're like all in on something because they don't realize that like a cut or a deficit is a short dedicated period of time, right? That
Right.
you
They're
go,
like, oh, she's boring or yeah.
right, yeah. And so, but but then now you reverse out of it, and we talk about that. But I also remember you saying, and from your check-in, you're like, I'm not missing out on things. Like all these events
No.
that you just shared and like Derby, and you're like, I'm not missing out. And I just loved how you were like, oh, I went from like what food's gonna be there to like who's gonna be there, who am I gonna catch up to? Like, it brings me so much joy because I remember being in the exact same position and me thinking I wanted to be that person, but I didn't want to miss out on the joy of food. And then I realized when I made that switch and like food kind of became like neutral almost, and
Hmm.
I like could use it if I wanted to bring joy in, but it came kind of neutral. It opened my door to so much life and activities and adventure and conversation and like it just opened my world up to so much more joy when food
Hmm.
wasn't my source of joy. I don't know if that relates to you at all, but I
Yes.
had that
Yeah.
feeling.
No, I think like it's just right. You just find it in other ways. And it's like this mindset of like, I can always have it another time. Like I can have 11 weeks of not having candy or whatever it is on Easter and not having the desserts and like the potato cheese. And it's funny because now I don't even like, I mean, the desserts do sound good sometimes still. Of course, I'm human. I still like sugar,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't, it's not like I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have that thing. And like the other day, I was actually like thinking about like, oh, I'd love to go to this restaurant that I love. And like, there's a few things I'd want to have that are like, wouldn't really be nutrition. Like, it would just be a lot of calories and macros. You know what I mean? It'd probably be a
Yeah.
day where I decide I'm not going to track and I'm just going to whatever. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and they have this cake that I love. And I'd love to get a piece of that cake. And I was like, yeah. And like, old me might have been like, oh, I'm going to go drive there.
Yeah. Right now.
I'm going
Let's
now.
go.
And I was like, well, that's cool. That sounds good. And I'm sure that'll be delicious whenever I get to go there next time. And it's
Yeah.
there's not an urgency to have it now because it's like I can have it later or, and having a couple days where I felt like I did have more treats again or whatever, it feels so good getting back on track. And, it's like getting into that rhythm of, you know, eating well and having things like my husband's been a huge support because he's been making me like grilled chicken skewers and they're delicious. And so he'll put them in the fridge and I'll have them for the whole week. So he does a good amount of my meal prep for me,
Nice.
which is so sweet. And
Yeah.
and then he's the one that also got me kind of an alternate to my alternative to my Starbucks drink was which is just a Starbucks ice unsweetened coffee that you can buy at Kroger or whatever. And
Yeah.
a protein like a Fairlife protein chocolate milk, and that's like 30 grams of protein. And then I fill up that and then I rest in my little tumbler with coffee and I mix that together and it's delicious. And it's like I don't even need the other thing anymore because I don't even know that I would like it. I don't even know if I liked it that much. It was
Yeah.
almost like the emotion connected to the relaxation of it. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, this is all so good. I know everyone's listening being like, Shh, this is me. What? I didn't know somebody was like feeling the
you
same
can
way.
do
It's
it. I know.
yeah.
And I do think like I'll still struggle with it. But I'm really determined this time around because I've done the deficit before, right? I've done the bodybuilding competitions before kids, but I never reversed out of anything. I was like, oh, we're
Yeah.
done. We're back to whatever, and then
Yeah,
I
I don't know
lost
how
all my
to.
progress. But I'm like, I have worked so hard. I have clawed my way back from three
Mm-hmm.
C-sections. You know what I mean? I have.
Yeah.
I have clawed my way back to this point, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna like just throw it all away. It's just like what like imagine if I keep on this trajectory of paying attention to what I'm eating and fueling my body well and eating enough and like working on building muscle and then doing another cut. I can get even leaner. I can whatever I
Yeah,
want.
isn't this so fun? You get to literally
Whatever
like
you
build
want.
your shape.
You can look
Build
like whatever you want. It
yes.
just if but I mean it takes effort and it takes effort. It takes a lot of effort and consistency, but you can do anything you want. You can make your body look however you want.
So
I
fun.
mean, to a point, but
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah, I get
genetics
what you
and
mean.
stuff. But
So I'm curious now. Okay, let's just talk about because I've got your photos pulled up too, and it's just like just like your shoulder caps, and it's so fun too because I follow you on social media, so I see like your derby pictures out in your
yeah.
like sundress, and it's like I'm like, oh, Jimmy is a lucky man. Like, look at that hot
Uh,
mom, that hot woman. And just
yes,
like,
he always
I
lets me
see
know.
people commenting, like, so many people are like, oh my God, look at your arms, just
Hmm.
like looking good. And you're just like frolicking around Derby, just living your best life. So let's just talk about your physique, like, and some of these, like, changes. Obviously, your shoulder caps. What else has
Hmm.
been the biggest thing that you've kind of noticed
Uh,
in your shape?
the my butt to thigh, like the little part where your butt and your thigh meet. I feel like
Yep.
mine's never really tucked in a lot, and it's still. I'm still working on that. P.S. Like it's not where I want it to be yet. Like I have big plans for my booty, but
Yes.
um, but I like when I walk now, I can feel a little fold like where my thigh and butt meet that I've never felt before. But
Yeah.
it's not like in a bad way. It's like I can feel my butt and my thigh meet, and when I look, I can see that hamstring definition like in the
Yep.
mirror, like even from the side, where before I could not. And that's been my biggest challenge. Like upper body, I was a swimmer. So I feel like upper body for me builds quickly. It's muscle
Mhm.
memory. Upper body, circus, right? All the upper body stuff. Like that's always come easy to me. And I feel like my definition there comes quicker. Lower body definition is not something that has come easy for me. And that's
Mhm.
also when I did my DEXA scan, where I hold most of my fat is hips and thighs, right? Which I know is very common for many
Typical
women.
female. Yep.
So I'm going to be repeating that here in like, a few weeks. And I'm really excited to see because it's been about a year since I did the last one. It was July of last year when I did my first DEXA scan.
Yeah.
And I was, I think 138, 138 the day I did that scan, I think. Um,
That sounds right. From
and, 20, I think I was 28% body fat, which sounded higher to, I feel like at that time I didn't look like 28, but I made a goal then. I was like, I want to be under 20. I would love to be
yeah.
under 20. Now I'm curious to see if I'm there now. And if I'm not, that's okay because I know what to do to keep getting there. right? But I'm just
Oh,
curious
so
to
good.
see like where, like how much muscle have I gained and then how much fat have I lost and what's that percentage at now? And also bone density.
Yep.
That was like it was like fine, but it wasn't like you're great. So I decided that I would just pay attention to the bone density too. And since I've been doing weightlifting and I know having babies and stuff that and breastfeeding and all of that can mess with bone density as well. So I'm excited to see like it's not just about like, how fat am I? How skinny? It's about all of those health factors that play into it.
This is, I'm so glad you brought this up because this is my next question because bone density, right? Obviously, building muscle is going to help increase bone density.
Hmm.
That, like, you're considering that for long-term health,
Hmm.
and you've mentioned a
Hmm.
lot like your long-term goals. This you don't want a short-term thing, you want a long-term goal. So
Right.
I'm curious when you think about like long-term health, right? And you've also mentioned you're like, oh, I know what to do to keep progressing, which is so good. But when you think about like your day-to-day, like, I don't know, maybe like things that have impacted like your family or your activities or like decisions you make about like your future, has anything like positively impacted like that too? In addition to obviously we just talked about
Yeah.
like fit shape.
So I would say, I think when you say family, like my kiddos we've got picky eaters, and like my oldest, like he only eats certain things, and and all his favorite things are sugar, of course. But one of the biggest things is like with my kids, I used to be like, oh, let's go get ice cream, like thinking like fun treat for you, but really I'm the one who wants ice cream, And like, so I've
Mhm.
now found that since I've been eating better, I'm not pushing those things onto my kids because I'm not like, let's go get ice cream. Like, and I'm not saying they can't have ice cream. We still will get ice cream and popsicles that they want to have around the house and stuff. But I was influencing a lot of like the impulse treats because I wanted it. And I was like, it
Interesting.
wasn't anything they had asked for. I was like, oh, guys, let's go get ice cream. That sounds fun because mommy wants some ice cream. But now that I'm not as tied to that, it's like I'm not pushing that onto them.
So interesting. Do you find that it's just not even something you think about anymore, or do you find that
Yeah.
oh, you've shifted that to something else?
Um, I would say that like I also got a Ninja Creamy. I
Mm.
don't know if you can get ad points for that, but I make my own ice cream at home. So I guess I've shifted it. Like we'll make ice cream and like Jimmy asks me, my husband asks me every night, like, where's my ice cream? And it's a bottle, like it's a one serving of protein, like whether that's a protein shake or the protein powder mixed with like a skim milk or an almond milk, and then cottage cheese and a little bit of like fat-free jello pudding mix. And you mix
Yeah.
it like the day before or freeze it, and then you churn it in the thing for like 10 minutes and it makes like this delicious creamy ice cream. You can mix in like, I was on a deficit mixing in a tablespoon, like a serving of mini M&Ms with my ice cream every night. And
Yeah.
then I pulled it out eventually because I was like, okay, I think I can make more results if I'm using this for something else. And I pulled it out and I was like, I didn't even miss them then because it was still creamy and delicious. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, I'm not going to go get ice cream somewhere else when I can have delicious ice cream that is like fits into my goals for myself.
Yeah. So,
Now that
oh,
being
this
said, I
is
had
so
ice cream at my parents the other night that was like legit ice cream and it was delicious and I'm so glad I got to have some, but I'm not
good.
like I have had ice cream in my freezer for months that I haven't touched. That old me, no, that would have been gone, gone, gone. I can store like Oreos in the cupboard and not touch them. But three of them is a serving, and they go into my husband's ice cream because that's how he likes his made with the Oreos, and I prefer mine with M&Ms. So there's many like I've got Reese's, I got all the candy up in my stash, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. It doesn't like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah,
keep
I
me
could
like
like cry. I'm so happy for you because I
yeah,
remember conversations. I remember the like frustration and the like
yeah,
disappointment you had. And I like will have to emphasize like of someone who is fit, right? So like this, I feel like it just kind of puts us in a different bubble. And so I remember those conversations and the frustration and the like, oh, will I ever get out of this? And now here you
yeah,
are. And like, so this is just who you are, how you operate. It's so good. And now you're reversing out of your deficit and still maintaining great shape, but you're able to include those different foods in, like the ice cream with your like the good tasting ice creams. Like you can have it, but you don't have to have it right now. You don't have to have it all the time, and you have
right.
alternatives.
And
How
I don't have to
proud
eat
of
it till it's
you
gone.
are yeah.
I
How
don't know. No, it's so exciting. Well, and someone's
how
like,
proud of you are you of you? how
Very
proud
proud.
of you are you of
Am
yourself? Because
I? Am I? How proud
yes,
am I? Am I? Yeah.
yes.
Very proud. And I was at like it was a visitation for like a celebration of life for a friend's grandmother. And an older gentleman I've never met came up and he said to my friends, he's like, "Oh, well, my other friend sitting next to me, also very fit female." And he's like, "Oh, yes, you don't. So you've got kids, you don't have kids, you don't have kids." And she's like, "Oh, no, I have kids. I have two." And he is, so then he looks and he goes, "Okay, so you've got two." And he points at me and he goes, "But you don't have any." I was like, "No, I have three." And he goes, well, how do you look like that if you have three kids? And just like an old guy with like no filter, like 80
Yeah.
something. And I just said, I go, a lot of hard work and dedication.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, "Oh, yeah, stop it." I was like, "Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication and consistency." And he was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well," I don't think he was actually expecting a serious response.
You're like, you
You
asked,
want
you're
to
gonna get
know?
an
You
answer.
want to know what it takes? It takes a lot. It takes a lot, but it's so worth it. It's 1000% worth it. And I think it's hard. You see like a watch me lose this much weight. Like I made a video like that too, because I've always wanted to do that. Like when I lost originally, like right after my third son was born, I lost 20 pounds
Hmm.
in like that was fast, like 16 weeks or something, or 12 weeks or something like that. And I did a video of like me working out, like I couldn't even bench press just the bar off the thing. And like for me now, I'm like, it's just like the strength. Like I'll go pick something up and I'll be like, it feels so like stuff feels light. And like even like when I'm carrying like the bag with the beach towels at the pool, right? And then I've got the lunch boxes on it. And then and somebody said to me, like, "You look just like ridiculous carrying all of that." I was like, "I know, but I'm carrying it all." Like and like I'm walking and like I'll be like about to drop it all. And I'm like, this is part of my training. This is what
Yeah.
I trained for, is so I can carry this bag from this side of the pool all the way down, back inside, down the hallway, past the gym, because we go to the pool gym area, all the way down to where I parked my car, like up what feels like a mile away with three children in tow. This is why I do it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is life for sure. And then on top of that, I'm like curious, what do you see for yourself for like 5, 10 years from
I
now? Like, what do
know.
you think you'll take with you from all of
So
this experience?
I think there is still a little bit of that like hesitance of like falling back into my old patterns, right? I think that's
Hmm.
always there, like a little bit of like so I keep myself in check, and like, so anytime I'm feeling like thoughts like that, I'm like, that's not who I am anymore. And I don't
Yep.
want to be that person anymore who feels afraid to stop goodies, or because I don't trust myself with them, essentially, right? It's like I don't
Yeah.
want, I think the control for me came with putting myself in those situations over and over and over again, and building that confidence and being like,
Yep.
I can go to this party and not have XYZ, and still have a really freaking good time. I can
Yeah.
go on vacation, and like we went on vacation and we went and got ice cream because there was like an ice cream shop. I didn't even tell the kids about it, but like their cousins went, so they found out. If it were old me, because we've been there before, we would have been going to that ice cream place every day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're on vacation. We only get to come here once a year. Like, let's go. Um, anyway, but for 5, 10 years, like I think about it all the time. Like I'm like, how am I going to maintain my muscle if I don't want to lose my progress? So immediate, like I've got certain like body like muscle building goals. Like I want to maintain my arms and shoulder caps because I love that. Like now that they're showing up again.
Yep.
I still am probably not quite as lean as I want to be.
Yep.
I still think I have some body fat to lose, not a ton. And my mom, she's always like, "Don't get too lean." I think moms always worry about that, right? Like, don't get too, and I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm still probably like 20% body fat. Like, I can safely still lose some."
Yep.
Um, Really just after a little bit more definition in my legs.
Yep.
And I want to keep building my glutes because, that's something else like that I think is just like I'm focusing more on. So I'm really excited to see kind of over the next year how I can build those muscles up. And then hopefully plan to do another deficit. I don't know if I'll do it in the fall or if I'll wait till spring again, like right before summer again, because it's
Yep.
really been fun to like uncover my work for summer.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I've been working all winter and
Yeah.
here I am at the pool. Like and it's just so wonderful, like to put on a swimsuit and just feel fabulous.
Oh, so good. And I love how confident you are speaking about it. It's not like oh, this would be nice. Oh, I like would like to do this. Maybe I'll keep trying. You've like literally just mapped out like, okay, I'll do this for this amount of time. I'm going to change this specific thing in my body, and then I'm going to do this for this time frame, this
Mhm.
deficit for this amount of time. Like just the confidence you have of like knowing you can do it. It's like
Yeah, and I
so
could definitely do it. And I think once my brain got into it, and like I know right before the last step, I was like, I'm ready. I'm gonna go I'm doing this 100%, and it's
Yep.
gonna be great. And I remember talking to a friend of ours, and they were like, 12 weeks? That's a long time. Because I was thinking like 12 or 11, whatever it was. And I was like, it's really not.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
really
not a
not.
long time. I mean, I guess like 3 months or whatever, but like it's really not. Like I was halfway through it and I was like, oh shit, I'm already halfway through. Like I'm just rolling. I'm just in this. Like, it's really not that long of a time. It's it's a lifestyle change that I'm after too. It's not just in and like I explain it to people too, like for the deficit, like you want to get in and out. I love how you say that. Like we're here to do work. We're getting in and out.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to stay here for a while because that's
No.
not going to serve us, right? We're going to get in and out and then build back up, so then we can drop back down when we want to lose. Because where I was before, there was nowhere to drop down to.
Yep. Yep.
So I
Hard to
think, yeah, like just changing that. But I think, I mean, for me, it was the second round that got my brain. Like it was like finally it clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. Like it's happening. So
That's so good.
I'm hoping I hang on to it all. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But in,
Yes.
10 years, like I think I want to keep building muscle. And like, I always think about it too, like how, I like the supple look too, like the fuller muscle look. Like, I don't want to look like because I recognize that can be a big challenge too. Like somebody might just be like, it can be even harder sometimes to build the muscle than it can be to lose the fat. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you could be going from like super thin and trying to build muscle, right? And all of it just takes time. So I think my biggest thing is like keep showing up. And that's what I kept saying, like keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, because you've got to you've got to start somewhere. Otherwise it won't happen. And the time's gonna pass. So let's do it.
Yeah, I love that saying, the time's gonna pass anyway.
It
Um,
is.
this has all been so good. I think like for me, one thing that you constantly have said is like throughout this interview is that's not who I am anymore. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, so good. So good. Yeah. I love it. And then the best part to me too is just to give some context for the listeners around the deficit. So she initially started like came to me at like 1600 calories and then we worked up to 2100 calories and then in her
Mhm.
deficit she cut to 1600 calories and then the
Right.
last bit of it 1500 and was and decreased 11 pounds, right? And then now
Right.
it's like working back up. So just to kind of of course with specific macros related to that, but
Right.
just to
And
kind of give the
consistency,
visual.
right? Not like going like, hey, it's the weekend. Woo, we'll get back to it on
Yeah.
Monday. It was the consistency. So that was huge. Just
Yeah.
get
So
in, get out. Let's do it.
do it. So good. And that's like what everything you just shared is like what took you from like, I would say someone who's fit to like shredded, right? And it's
Mhm.
so good because it's not only your physique, it's your mindset, it's who you are. And now you have
Right.
plans like for what's next, which makes me so happy to hear. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing this journey. I've just loved all of the details. Is there anything
Thank
else you want
you.
to add
Yes.
or share before we wrap up?
Oh, I think, that's probably, I mean, I think we covered so much, but I think
We
for
did.
me, it's just the, giving yourself the opportunity to really go into it, and like, what would happen if you committed 100% to something for 11 weeks? I mean, yes, the program's longer than that. Yeah, you build up, you learn, you do that, but give yourself the time, or the 12 weeks or whatever it is, and just do 100% and see what happens. Like it'll be hard, but like you can do it. You can do it. And then you'll be like, oh my gosh, I did it. 12 weeks. Wow. Cool. Wonderful. And it's just, you feel so much better when you're not eating a bunch of stuff. And the thing about the poop that you said is so funny, because I know I reached out to you. I was like, I'm not pooping anymore, but do I need to change what I'm eating? And you're not like I'm not pooping ever, but my poop
Yeah.
slowed down a lot. And you're like, well, you've been in this deficit for 11 weeks now. And then
Yeah.
now I've noticed like it picking back up again. Like I was like in the store the other day and I'm like, now, come on. Like, but it's because I've been adding back
You're
more
increasing
food back
intake.
in. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just,
So good.
yeah, it's fun. And so I'm excited to increase intake again and build even more muscle, and then cut again. It's turned into more fun too,
Yeah,
and
it's
be
like a
like, oh, and
hobby. It really
it
is. It's like
is.
a
It's a
hobby where you can
hobby.
mold your shape and
Yes,
there's so many benefits too.
and still have great food. Like you could eat the same thing, but it's just less quantities. Like so, it's not like and I think that unlocked for me a lot when I was like, how do I fit all this food in? Like, oh, I've got to have a different meal for this and this. You don't need a different meal for anything. You just build the plate and then make it work with your
Yeah.
macros. I
Yeah.
think I was like, well, what do I need to add in more carbs later. No, just add in more carbs now. It's like
Yeah.
it
Just
was like I
increase your portion.
increase your portion. It's just like I don't know why that didn't click with me for the longest time. I was like, yeah, just
Yeah.
increase the portion. And then I'm like, or in this case, just decrease the portion. I don't need to rehaul my whole diet and what I eat, to an extent. I was already
Yeah.
eating pretty well, but going in the deficit, I was like, oh, okay. I just need to cut that out a little bit more, but I can still eat the same. I can still eat my rice. I can still eat my chicken or whatever.
Yep.
Um, the tofu. And then you find things that like, oh, that really wasn't worth all the fat or the carbs I lost on that. So I'm gonna do something different next time. But it's
Yeah.
good
You get
because
savvy.
you see what's worth it, right? That wasn't worth it. Or that was worth it.
So good. Oh, so many ahas and wins.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah.
journey.
Thank you guys for listening.
Fantastic job. Obviously, super proud of you and excited
Yay.
for what's next for you. And
I know.
everyone,
Thank you.
we'll see you next week on the Create Your Shape podcast.